Hi, Jack.
Hi.
I'm really sorry. I am trying to organize all this. So I'm going to meet you and Stella in a sec.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Life
Good.
always is quite hard with the coronavirus and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
that's Stella and okay. And how are things going there?
Good. As good as they can be at this point with coronavirus.
Hello.
Yeah, I imagine.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. Well, I will admit the rest of the people in the
Stella,
sec.
you're muted.
Okay, there it is. Hi, Jack. It's nice to see you again.
Hi, Stella.
A huge thanks for this opportunity, for being here again. You're very popular among our students, you know. They want to be with you again.
Oh, my pleasure.
Let me go over the stages for this presentation. Would it be all right if you start presenting as we did the previous time, and then our students carry out with the questions?
Sure.
Lovely. And Mark is going to do a short presentation with a video that Belu prepared first. And then, well, I will be announcing you. All right?
Sounds good.
Okay. Is there any presentation that you want me to say? No?
No, I have it all up here. So
Okay. Lovely. So, Maga, back to you.
Well, there are 23 people on the waiting room. Shall we allow them?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay.
Hello, students. Welcome. Hello. Oh, that's
Hello,
a teacher
teacher.
also. Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Paula.
Hello,
Hello,
nice to meet you.
Rocio.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Santiago, Kevin, Paola.
Hello,
Please
teacher.
turn your cameras on. Hi. Okay, there is Jack Nuveen at the top. Hello, Sophia.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Alex. Okay, if the teachers want to say hi to their students, the better, because, well,
Yes,
or if
hello, Lu and Lucas and Pauli. Hello, Fede, Pri, Santi. Who else is there? Andre, you can activate your cameras.
yes, please put your cameras on.
So we can
Also,
see.
if you want to say something to Jack before the presentation begins, there's a chat box. Use the chat box below, type your questions, and Jack will be very happy to answer those questions. All right?
Great.
You can say hello, Jack, from, I don't know, Caballito, Lugano, Flores, Villa Celina. Right? So you can start typing on the chat box. Wow, 30 people in this meeting today. A lot. This is really a lot. Thank you very much for joining us. And Macarena keeps on accepting people, right? Fantastic. Yes. That is fantastic, really. We are very happy that our students are responding so well to this conversation club. And we are especially thankful to Jack Nuveen, who is here with us from the United States. I'm very happy to present Halloween and to, well, introduce us to all the American customs and British customs from Halloween, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. It's nice to be here. I'm happy to see you all. I am in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yes, Jack is a perfect student. He was the only one who on the chat box wrote, hello, I'm from Philadelphia. I was telling all the students, please say hello from Selena, Lugano, where you're from. Please write on the chat box, come on. In these very few minutes we have before the presentation starts. Come on, write something. Thank you, Jack, for listening to the teacher, to this well woman. All right. Oh, well. Santiago says, hello from Villa Celina. Lucas, hello, Jack from Lugano. Jack, you want to read your greetings? These greetings are for you.
Hello from Villa Celina. Hello from Lugano. Another one from Lugano. We have another one from Celina. Another from Lugano. Piedra Buena. I don't know where that is.
It's near
Lugano
Lugano.
too.
Great. Perfect.
All right.
Jack.
We are going to, yes, more people from Villa Celina and Lugano are saying hello. Great. Lovely. Lots of people from near the BA English House.
Mhm.
We are so happy that you all are here. You know, Jack, some students are not having lessons at this very moment, and they are especially joining us because they want to see you and they want to start the Halloween week. So that is really a big applause to those students of ours. Lovely. Okay. Well, now, Macarena, would you like to start with the presentation of the conversation change?
The kind of people and like their culture.
I don't know, does anybody buy DVDs anymore? I used to buy a lot of DVDs. And
this service and the supermarket.
Okay,
Oh,
so
fantastic.
Okay, very well.
Okay, a huge applause to everybody who joined in the conversation clubs. Thank you. Thank you to our students. Thank you to Jack. Thank you, the assistants and former exchange students and exchange teachers that took part of this lovely year in the conversation clubs. And now back to you, Jack.
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Jack Nuveen. I am currently in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That is right next to New York City. I grew up in North Dakota, Dakota del Norte, and I spent almost 9 months of my life living in Buenos Aires in Villa Lugano. So that's how I came to be here. And that's a little bit about me. So today we'll be talking a little bit about Halloween. If you don't understand something, you can just raise your hand or type something in the chat box and I'll stop and try and clarify, okay? So we can get started a little bit by talking about where Halloween comes from. First of all, Halloween began around 2,000 years ago. So back in the medieval era with the Celtics. And the Celtics were people who were born and lived in Northern Ireland up by Great Britain. And a lot of you are familiar with London. That's sort of where the Celtic area is. So Halloween started because the November 1st, the first day of November, marked the beginning of the new year. So the Celtics ran on what was a different calendar. They didn't run on a 12-month calendar. So they ran on a calendar where on November 1st, it became a new year. And so they would celebrate the end of the new year, just like we do this year or every year on December 31st. So this day, November 1st, was the day that people celebrated the living for that year, and they celebrated the dead So it was a way for them to transition in a happy and peaceful way to the new year. So they believed on this night, November 1st, October 31st to November 1st, that the boundary between the living and the dead would intermingle. They would mix together. Okay. And so Halloween, what started as a celebration marking the beginning of the intermingling of the living with the dead and the transition to a new year. So that's a little bit about the history of Halloween and why we celebrate it today. And that's why we celebrate it on October 31st. So Halloween used to be called Samhain, and I'll type that in the chat box here. So Halloween used to be called Samhain, and it's spelled Samhain, and it's pronounced Samhain, okay? And that is not an English word, that's a Celtic word. And that was the day that they believed that the ghosts of all the people who died that year returned to Earth. So as we know, Halloween started as a Celtic festival called Samhain, which translates into summer's end. Okay, so summer came to an end and people celebrated the end of summer and the beginning of winter. And way back then, 2,000 years ago, winter was typically viewed as a time when it would be cold and dark and windy, and that would bring a lot of death because they didn't have air conditioning, they didn't have heaters, so winter was a time of death. So it also celebrated the first day of the final harvest. So there were no more crops, there were no more farms, and the October 31st, the farmers would harvest all of their food. So Samhain, which is now known as Halloween, started in the United Kingdom, in Great Britain near London, and northern France. And people would celebrate the day by trying to scare off as many of the ghosts that they thought were coming to visit them. And they would do this by wearing costumes. And they would wear costumes to try and scare off the ghosts and make them go away. So that brings in the introduction of costumes to what we now know as Halloween. So once costumes came around, it was a disguise for young people. And they used that to go around from door to door, knocking on each door, saying trick or treat. And we still say that today. So that began around 1,500 years ago. And we still say it today on every door that we go knock on, trick or treat. And they would exchange food and money. And there was no exchange of candy. What the young children would have to do is either sing or write a poem in order to get the food or money. So that tradition then morphed itself into children continuing to dress up, and eventually, instead of food and money, they asked for candy. Okay. So it wasn't until World War II, actually, when children started, when the tradition of asking for candy actually became something really popular and spread worldwide. So once World War II ended, there were no more rations on candy because sugar was something that was highly rationed in the United States, in Great Britain, all over the world. And once the World War II ended, there was no more rationing. And still, I don't really know the word for rationing in Spanish, but let me see here. So I guess racionar, proporcionar, the sugar was what they had to do. So there was no candy pre-World War II. After World War II was when candy started becoming very popular. and the candy companies started capitalizing on this new ritual. So now we get to today, and Halloween is now the second largest holiday in the entire United States, and people spend almost 700 trillion Argentinian pesos every single year on Halloween. 700 trillion. So that's a lot of money. And that money goes towards candy. It goes towards costumes. It goes towards decorations, fake spiders, fake webs, stuff like that. So this year, 2020, will be the first time in almost 19 years that there's a full moon on the day of Halloween. Okay, and this year it'll be on a Saturday. So traditionally, a borough in New York City called Greenwich Village throws the largest Halloween party in the entire world, and there are over 2 million people that attend this party every single year. So that's a big guest list. So because of COVID this year, I don't think they will be hosting the party, but it's a big party that they throw every year, and it has thousands and thousands of people. They have puppeteers, and they have candy, and they have theater events. Okay. Traditionally, the most popular costumes here in the United States are princesses and superheroes. And this year, I looked it up online, they're expecting the exact same. So Batman, Spider-Man, princesses like Elsa and Rapunzel are the big couple costumes that most children wear here in the United States. The most popular candy is Skittles, although it's not my favorite candy. It is the most popular candy here in the United States on Halloween. And we also have candy corn. It's a traditional candy that people buy on Halloween. And the 25% of all candy every single year is bought for Halloween. Okay, so people buy a lot of candy. And about 20% of millennials, so people my age, they buy costumes for their cats and dogs as well. So people spend a lot of money on Halloween. People dress their cats and dogs up as spiders and monkeys and all sorts of weird things. And I think even my cat's gonna have a costume this year, although I haven't picked it out yet. So traditionally, people carve what are called jack-o'-lanterns. They're big pumpkins, big orange pumpkins. A jack-o'-lantern is another name that we have for a pumpkin here in the United States. And every year, about a week before Halloween, people go out onto their porches and they carve out a jack-o'-lantern and they make a face in the jack-o'-lantern. And on Halloween, you put a candle in it and you light the candle, and that's your jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. So the history behind the jack-o'-lantern is a myth called Stingy Jack, named after me, Stingy Jack. So Stingy Jack was a mythical person who ended up tricking both the devil and God. So he wasn't allowed in heaven or hell when he died. So he was condemned to walk the earth with a gourd. Okay, it's kind of like a pumpkin, and a candle in the gourd. And that is where we get the term Jack of the Lantern from. And we call it Jack-o'-lantern for short, instead of saying Jack of the Lantern. Okay. So those are some traditions that we have. Let me see. I'll answer some of these questions over in the chat. Is everybody understanding so far? Okay. All right. So Jack, what do you think makes the tradition of celebrating Halloween so compelling, and how old did you celebrate Halloween? So what makes the tradition of Halloween so compelling? That's a good question. Halloween, we get a big bucket of candy, and I'm talking buckets bigger than your head, full of candy, and children will start at 7 p.m. and go from door to door, knocking on each door, saying trick or treat for 3 to 4 hours. And they collect as much candy as they can, and they go home and they get to eat it all throughout the whole month of November. Okay. And I started celebrating Halloween when I was just a little kid, 1 year old. Every year you dress up. Okay. So you start at 1 year old, and I still celebrate Halloween. Maybe not in the same way that they used to. I don't go knocking on doors anymore, but we still go out and have parties, because the older adults have parties for Halloween and the younger kids go out knocking on each door. So good question, Matias. What was your favorite Halloween costume when you were a kid from Belen? Oh gosh, I think my favorite costume was a cow. So I was a cow when I was a younger kid, and I was also a turtle. And a lot of little kids model their costumes after their favorite costume characters. And one year, my favorite year, I went as Franklin the turtle. And I don't think they have that in Argentina, but it's a popular cartoon that we have here in the United States that a lot of children watch. So that's where a lot of the costumes come from. All right. So at what age do you stop celebrating Halloween? You don't. You always celebrate Halloween. So I celebrate Halloween still. Adults celebrate Halloween, and older people celebrate Halloween, just in different ways. So when you're a little kid, you go from going on door to door knocking, asking for candy. And then as you get a little older, you might have a party with your friends at your house. And then as you get even older, you transition to being the one giving out the candy, which is fun as well. All right. So what is your favorite thing to do when it is Halloween? So my favorite thing to do on Halloween is to be with my friends. It's one of the few days of the year that we have an excuse to eat a lot of candy and to have fun. And what is my favorite candy? So my favorite candy is Reese's peanut butter cups. That's my absolute favorite. And I don't think they have them in Buenos Aires. When I came to visit, they don't. When I came to visit, my host brother asked me if I would bring him Reese's peanut butter cups. So does anyone want to ask a question out loud?
Yes, now it is our students' turns to ask you some questions. They have already prepared a number of questions. Thank you very much, Jack, for this lovely presentation. We are really eager to keep on listening about Halloween even more. But now it is our students' turn. Please, our students, raise your hand so that Jack can see you, and unmute your microphones so that you can interact with Jack. Is that clear? Yes, I know my students have already prepared a number of questions. Let's see, Lucas, Priscilla, Santiago,
Abby is
Lucia.
raising the hand.
Okay, so Jack, can you see students who are raising their hands?
Abril? Were you raising your hand? Okay.
My question for you is very suppose that this year never happened the COVID and can celebrate Halloween. What costume would you like to have worn?
I'm not sure. Stella, did you get all that? I couldn't hear a lot of it.
No. Would you mind coming closer
can-
to the microphone, dear? Who is speaking? I cannot see you.
I think Abril Macero is speaking. So
Okay,
I couldn't get
Abril.
what she said.
Okay, would you mind speaking louder on the microphone, please?
Is there anyone else that wants to ask a question in the meantime?
All right, let's see. Santiago, I'm going to call out my students' names. Santiago, your question, please.
Yes. I will camera from to speak. I have a few. The first one. Have you ever gone treat or tricking? If so, have you ever done a trick?
Yes, we go trick-or-treating every year, but usually it's just for candy. Only a few houses will ask you to do a trick. And if they ask you to do a trick, then you expect a lot more candy in return. Good question.
Okay. Well,
Jack,
the other question.
your
Sorry.
favorite costume for casualty is turtle.
Turtle. So we call it turtle. So
Yes.
I believe Balin uploaded a picture of it. One of your teachers uploaded a picture of Franklin the turtle. And that was my favorite Halloween costume. So a turtle, that's how you say it. The L
Okay.
is silent. It's a hard word to pronounce in English.
Okay.
Yes, Paula?
Hi.
Hello.
I wanted to ask you, does everyone wear costumes or is that something that's just for children?
So if you're trick-or-treating, great question. If you're trick-or-treating, then you have to wear a costume, otherwise you don't get any candy. If you show up to a house and you're just wearing normal clothes, then you don't get any candy. You have to put effort into it. And some people make their own costumes at home and other people go out and buy them. Does that make sense?
Does it really
Yes,
happen that
thank you.
someone says, no, I won't give you any candles?
Say that again?
Does that really happens? Like adults says sometimes no to children because they're not wearing costumes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to put effort into it. It's not a free, you don't get candy for free. All right, Matias?
Mati?
Yes, and do you think this tradition influences people a lot in any way?
Oh, of course. So each year, there's always one super popular costume, and it depends on, it's usually the best movie that comes out that year. They'll have one costume that comes from that movie that everybody is wearing. The Avengers is a really, really popular one. So the year that the Avengers came out, a lot of people were wearing costumes from the Avengers. Let's see. Another really popular one is singers. So the most popular singer of that year is usually a very popular costume in the United States. So yes, there's a lot of influence in it, and people make jokes out of it too. Yeah, good question.
but the tradition, the influence of Halloween influences in people in, I don't know, maybe some people put a lot of effort in their costume or something like that, and it have a change in the in person.
Yeah, so people spend hours and hours and hours making their costumes homemade. They sew their costumes, they glue and they draw their costumes. So it depends what they're going to be, but a lot of times people spend days making their costumes from scratch, homemade.
Thank you.
Let's see, Sofia, Priscilla, Lourdes, Lucia Pavon, Santiago Ferreira. Come on, you have a huge questionnaire full of questions to ask. Don't be shy.
Hi, Jack. I would like to ask about if it's true that houses compete to see who has the best decoration.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So that's a big tradition on Halloween. So usually it's in neighborhoods. So one neighborhood of houses may consist of 15 to 20 houses, and that's what we call a neighborhood here. And each neighborhood will compete to see who has the best decorations for Halloween. And they do the exact same thing for Christmas as well. Usually the best decorated house wins money, and then they use that money to pay for their decorations for the next year. Good question.
I can see some other students who've written their questions on the chat box. Please, can you read your questions out loud? For example, Morena Vieites, you asked a question. Paola Orellana too. They would like to know if you like any Halloween movie.
Oh gosh, I don't like scary movies, so no.
No.
Scary movies scare me, so I try not to watch them. But It was a very popular movie here in the US. And that was one where a lot of people took costumes from that movie and they used that to dress up as well.
You know, Jack, we are live on Facebook, and there's a very dear teacher, somebody who loved very much and has made your exchange program and many students' exchange programs possible, and that is Becky Shakotsu and Stroll. So I would like to give a huge clap to Becky from all of us. Come on, students. It's a very important teacher with whom we started exchange programs, and she started all these lovely cultural projects. Thank you, Becky, for joining us live on Facebook. And she's commenting and says that at school, sometimes they have a costume contest. Did you used to have a costume contest at school, Jack, as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So costume contests are very popular, just like house contests are. Having the best decorated house and having the best decorated costume went hand in hand. So a lot of elementary schools and middle schools and even high schools, secundaria, they would have costume contests.
Another person from Facebook is asking a question, Jack. He would like to know, how do you celebrate this year? With face masks?
So I don't think there will be much celebrating this year, unfortunately. I think if there is any celebration, that people will have little slides that they drop candy onto from their houses, so their kids don't have to come all the way up to the doors. So I think, unfortunately, Halloween will be a little calmer this year than it usually is.
Wow. Santiago, you have some questions to ask as well, don't you?
Well, yeah.
Santiago Ferreira. There's another Santiago. Sorry, you already asked.
Yes, hi Jack. Is Halloween celebrated in schools too?
Good question. So Halloween is celebrated in schools. Halloween is celebrated after school. Halloween is celebrated even before the day of Halloween. So we celebrate Halloween almost the entire week sometimes. It's a big celebration here in the United States.
Cool, thanks.
Is it bigger than Christmas?
So the difference between Halloween and Christmas is that kids are usually in school for Halloween. So we get to see our friends and we get to see our family as well for Halloween. But for Christmas, the children have off, they're on vacation. So they don't get to see their friends a lot of times. They may be on vacation with their family, or they may be in a different place celebrating Christmas with their family. So the best thing about Halloween is that all the children are together.
Right. I'm going to ask the teachers who are with me in this meeting to start calling out their students. Perhaps they have prepared the questionnaire.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
Hi, Jack. I would like to know, have you ever made a costume from scratch, or do you prefer to buy them?
So in my opinion, the best costumes are made from scratch. Do you guys understand that term, made from scratch? Good. So made from scratch is the best. It's the most genuine, and you can always go to the store and buy it, but I like to make mine from scratch. But I haven't made one in a long time.
Also, you say that you wanted to put a costume on your cat. Are you going to make this costume, or are you going to buy it?
So usually those are bought because they have to be a special size, but I don't know what she's going to be this year. My girlfriend already bought a costume for her, but she won't tell me. So I'll find out soon enough, and I'll let you guys know.
Okay, thank you.
¿Puedo preguntar algo?
Yes, come on. Yes, go ahead.
Hello. How much do you like Halloween? Your friends like it?
So Halloween is an interesting celebration for dentists. So here in the I'm a dentist, and here in the United States, what a lot of dentists do for Halloween is they offer what's called a buyback program. I'll type it in. And what a buyback program is that dentists will offer children free cleanings, limpieza de diente, free toothbrushes for the children if they bring in all of their candy and give it to the dentist. Because as you know, too much candy and not brushing your teeth is not good for your teeth. So I have a love-hate relationship with Halloween.
There's somebody on Facebook, Jack, who would like to know what costumes would you recommend, or which ones would you currently wear?
So I think, in my opinion, I think this year a lot of people are going to go dressed as a virus. Let's see. I think every year witches are popular, superheroes, princesses. But I think this year a virus is gonna be the most popular. So you can figure out how you want to dress as a virus.
Nobody would like to be COVID for sure.
No.
Right. Now, Nicola Sanchez, you are asking a question. So would you like to ask that questions out loud, please? It will be a good exercise if you speak to Jack directly.
Okay. Hi.
Thank you.
What is the weirdest decoration or costume you've seen in Halloween?
Good question.
Thank you.
So the weirdest decoration. So people put a lot of work into making it look like they don't have an arm or they don't have a leg, and they'll work for hours with makeup to make it seem like they don't have extremities, okay? Or they're missing an eye, or they have a big cut across their forehead. So they'll do all that work just for Halloween. And those are probably the yuckiest and weirdest decorations we see on Halloween here.
Becky from Minnesota is telling us on Facebook that sometimes people dress as political figures.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So it's a possibility that this year as well, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are two very popular costumes this year. And you guys may not know who they are. Some of you may not know who they are, but they're the candidates for the president that we have this year in the United States. So those are always popular. And usually it's not in a good way. They're making fun of them.
Somebody is asking again here, could you repeat which are the most popular candies in Halloween? The
Sure.
names of the popular, or maybe you can write them on the chat box?
Yeah, so candy corn is one of the most popular, and that's a traditional candy that nobody really likes, but they give it out anyways. Reese's peanut butter cups are my favorite. Skittles are another good one that everyone likes. And Snickers.
Right.
Rocio likes Skittles. Good.
I love them both.
Do they make Reese's peanut butter cups in Argentina?
Not really, unfortunately, no. We don't
I
have
don't
any.
think no, but we've got Stickles and Snickers from you.
Yeah, it's a Reese's peanut butter cup is kind of like an alfajore.
Oh, I see.
But instead of sweet, it's filled with peanut butter.
They're great.
Yes, they're really, really good.
Well, Sofia Sarmiento, you haven't asked your question yet. Priscilla Sol, you know that there's a rule for this conversation club. If you are here with the camera on or attending this lovely event, you need to be prepared to ask questions, right? Because Jack would like to hear from you as well. So please, unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Hi.
Hi, Sophia.
What was the creepiest thing that ever happened to you on Halloween?
So a lot of times older kids will dress up and try to scare the younger kids on Halloween. And that's something that they do a lot. The high school, los chicos de la secundaria will dress up in costumes and try to scare the little tiny kids when they're going around trick-or-treating. So that happens a lot.
Jack, is there any poem or any song associated to Halloween? For example, in Christmas, we listen to Christmas carols. Is there any song connected to Halloween?
Not that I can think of. There's so many for Christmas, but not that I can think of for Halloween. At least not here in the United States.
Not even poems or
Not
stories?
Not that I know of, no. Okay. I think all the historical stories I already told you about Jack-o'-lantern and how Halloween started, but that's the main background.
Right, fantastic. Students are asking if we are going to upload this presentation on our YouTube channel. Yes, it would be uploaded on our YouTube channel as soon as the presentation finishes. But it would be very nice if you ask your own questions to Jack. Let's see, Luciano, have you asked your question? Luciano Diaz. Priscilla.
Hi. No, I didn't ask.
Hello. Come on, don't be shy.
I would like to ask you about if Halloween is in real life as is shown in the movies.
Yeah, it may not be as scary, but it's pretty similar. Yeah. So kids start going around from door to door, knocking on each door, yelling trick or treat around 6:30 to 7 p.m. And they'll go from door to door as long as they can until their parents tell them that they've had enough candy. And then they go home for the night. And they typically count their candy, and they spend the night trading candy with their brothers and sisters and seeing if they can get the best candy, and then they'll go to bed. So it's only one night.
You know, we are hearing from Becky, and she's telling us that haunted houses are set up in some communities to scare people, and you pay to participate. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, so that's another good story. So here in the United States, we have what are called haunted houses, and people spend a lot of money decorating their houses up so they're really, really scary, just like you see in the movies. And people will pay to go into the houses, and they pay to get scared. So here in Philadelphia, we have a prison, an old prison that used to house some of the worst criminals in the entire United States. And now over Halloween, they turn that prison into what's called a haunted house. And people pay a lot of money to walk through the haunted house and take pictures and get scared. I personally do not like them. I'm a scaredy cat.
Let's see. Martina, Tarifa, are you there?
Yes, but I
Okay.
have asked it already.
Yes,
Santiago
I know.
is raising his hand. Santiago Ferreira.
Yes, I have a question.
All right,
Jack,
go ahead.
what is the weirdest costume you've ever seen?
That's a good question. I don't think there is such a thing as a weird costume on Halloween. I think everything's weird on Halloween. So there are no weird costumes. So you can dress as whatever you want, and it's perfectly acceptable on Halloween. That's why it's a fun night here in the United States, because everything is okay.
What is the more amazing?
Say that
Most
again?
amazing.
What do you mean? What's the most amazing?
What is the most amazing costume you've ever seen?
So I believe it was 2 years ago. I saw a big spider that was about 10 feet wide. Okay, so that's like 3 meters for you guys. We use feet here in the United States, but 3 meters wide. And it was a mechanical spider. So someone was inside the spider and they would make it crawl around on the street. And they did that for the whole night, scaring people.
My God. Right. Well, the last 2 or 3 minutes to ask questions, please unmute yourself. It's your last opportunity to ask questions before we finish.
¿Puedo preguntar?
Yes, come on, go ahead. The last 2 or 3 minutes.
Are there especially programs on TV during Halloween, and do you watch them?
Yes, there are. So every Halloween from sundown to sunup, we have special TV programs that are called horror movies. And they play the horror movies all night long, so you can stay up as late as you want getting scared. I don't watch them because I don't like them, but a lot of people love the horror movies. Good question.
Lucia Pavon just raised her hand. I don't know if she wants to ask a question.
Yeah. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Lucia.
What was the best decorated house you have ever seen in your life?
Oh gosh. So I think the best decorated house was never mine. I don't have that much money or time to put into it. But I think the best decorated house I've ever seen is here in Philadelphia. They decorate a prison, like I was saying, prison, and they decorate it so it's super scary. And you pay for different levels of how scary you want it to be. So if you want it to be really scary, they'll take you down one alleyway and they'll scare you a lot. And if you want it to be semi-scary, they'll take you down a completely different alley. Good question.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, Jack, we are coming to the end of this conversation club, and I'm telling all the participants that if you want to watch this meeting again, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link is in the chat box at the moment, so you can subscribe right now. Jack, thank you very much for this incredible conversation and telling us so much about Halloween and fantastic things about this week that is started in the United States. It's always a pleasure seeing you here.
Stella, am I allowed to ask a question?
Sure, yes.
Is there anyone who can tell me what your tradition is in Buenos Aires on Halloween?
Maybe watch the movies or doing nothing.
Age very candies.
Yeah.
Eat ice cream.
Do you ever dress up and walk from door to door?
No, we don't do that.
I live in a flat and we do trick or treating, but only in the flat, not going house for each house, touching the homes. No.
And is anybody planning on dressing up this year in a costume?
No.
No.
No?
No, don't celebrate this.
People don't celebrate in general, but there's a place where people will wear, as in Philadelphia, there's a prison in Visual One, there is a hospital, which is it hasn't been built entirely, and it's scary. And I think that will be a good place.
Anyway, at the BA English House, we try to celebrate Halloween to show the tradition and the culture to all our students. We usually have lots of games, Halloween games in the Zoom, which is a big place that we have downstairs. And so teenage students prepare games, Halloween games for the children, and children dress up wearing costumes of witches and ghosts, and well, we organize parades and the like, but it's something very private for our students because it is not safe going trick-or-treating, you know, with the little ones. It's not safe because, well, they can run and cross the street. And you know what big cities are like, unfortunately. Well, Jack, thank you very much for this opportunity and this huge thank you again, and a big applause to you, from all of us.
Well,
Yes.
you all know that if you want to reach out to me, you can feel perfectly fine to reach out to me. My name is Jack Nuveen, and you can find me on Facebook or wherever. I'm happy to talk with you if you need it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a great day. This big applause for you. Right. Well, thank you very much for all the teachers and all the students that joined us today, and also all the people on Facebook Live. So again, if you want to watch this meeting again, it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. And now, goodbye, and well, a big hug from Buenos Aires to Philadelphia.
Bye.
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 Goodbye. Bye.
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 Bye.